Common sense media activated.
You are now entering Dad Mode, a podcast with a dad's eye view, and we are your hosts, the friendly neighborhood amazing daddy,
Rich,
and I am the Papa of Steel, Edge James. Well, good afternoon, sir.
good afternoon to you.
Greetings and salutations.
Greetings and salutations. How are you? Good day. Yeah, that made no sense. Anyway,
How do you do? How do you good day?
how are you? Good
How
day.
do you good day, good sir?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, everything's good.
Yeah.
It's a day off for me. It's great. Not having to work my day job. Get to concentrate on dad mode. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. And then I got to get ready for this trip down south.
Well, we'll see you soon, won't we?
Yeah, it's going to be good. How about you guys? What's going on?
Man, good. Kids are on Christmas break. My youngest daughter is here at the house playing Roblox as we
On the
speak.
PlayStation?
No, on the computer.
Oh, okay.
PC gaming.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my oldest is at a Spurs camp, like the San Antonio Spurs sports and technology camp.
Oh, okay.
So they play basketball the majority of the day, and then Accenture, which is a tech company, hosts or teaches them about technology through various spots or throughout various slots in the day.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool,
Okay.
which is a good segue
Yeah.
into what we'll be speaking about, which is regulating kids with tech.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. This is going to be a really good episode.
With the holidays and New Year, and for some of you parents out there that are just starting to get your kids into technology, I think this will be a good starting point, or at least a supplemental thing to listen to kind of help you with your decisioning.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people want to get those iPads and Galaxy tablets and for their kids, Amazon, things like that. So it's always good to understand what's going on with those.
Well, the best way to enjoy a Galaxy tab is like, the first step is to put it in the trash.
Wow.
I've never been a fan of those Android tablets. I really wanted to like it, and I was just like, I tried Amazon's Kindle. That was, it's an Android
That's
tablet.
trash.
I tried somebody's Samsung Galaxy tablet a long time ago. I think I even got my hands on the Pixel, and I was just like, these are not touching the iPad nor the Surface, because the Surface is just basically Windows.
Mm-hmm.
But with a two in one, the original 2-in-1 aspect or whatever. So
Yeah, that's true. I know I wanted to try a Galaxy just so it can be in that same ecosystem because I have a Galaxy phone, and I don't know. I just haven't really needed a tablet just because I got the Ultra, and that's literally almost like a tablet. It's all in one because it's a big enough screen that I need. And I know we just got this Apple iPad Pro, and it's actually really good. Like, I'm like a fan of it. I just wish that it was not Apple, but whatever. Yeah, it's really good. I'm not gonna lie. I don't use it every day. My wife uses it for editing for the show and for Chasm and everything, and she's in love with it. Like, it's one of the best investments that we ever had.
she got the Pro, right?
Yeah, she got the Pro, the 11-inch or whatever.
Yeah,
size
man,
it
that thing is the truth. Like, I wanted to get a tablet, but for me, it's just another device. I either go from my phone or straight to a laptop or a computer, like a full blown desktop or
you got
laptop.
the Mac.
Yeah, I've got
especially
a
you get the 13. That's like just like a tablet as far as size wise.
Oh, mine is a 16. No, I wanted the biggest experience possible.
Makes
So,
sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
now it's not the most portable because of that size, but it's not like I'm carrying a freaking, a headstone for a,
Yeah.
something.
Did you take your computer around or as far as travel with it?
I took it with me when I went to Maryland last week because I needed to
Okay.
do some quick editing. I
Mhm.
didn't use my laptop though for more than one day. So honestly, I didn't need to bring it, but
Yeah.
I had it,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for the most part, it stays docked. Like it sits here on my desk. Every once in a while, if I got to go somewhere to record, then yeah, I'll bring it with me. Or if I got to edit something because it's on here. So
Yeah. No doubt. I
but
like that.
before we get rolling into some tech, do we have you have any shout outs or gratitude?
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to my dad.
Nice.
Right now, they're in Puerto Rico. Mom and dad are out there. They are enjoying their 50th anniversary. And my dad's birthday's today.
Oh, happy
December.
birthday, Pops.
Happy birthday, Papa. I never call him Papa. I don't know where that came from. But other than that, I mean, it's crazy. December is a very busy month for the Murray family. We have, it's just crazy. You got my wife's birthday's on the 8th. Yep. Mine's the 18th. Our anniversary is the 11th. Mom and dad's anniversary is the 15th. My sister's anniversary is the 16th. Dad, sister's birthday is the 24th. Brother-in-law's the 23rd. I mean, money is just funneling out. So it's just get through it. And then we got March when it comes to the baby's kids. So it's like, December's a busy month, but we always get through it. We just have one big happy family meeting and just go crazy when it comes to celebrations. But want to give a shout out to my family. It's supporting me all these years and it's been great. So what about you?
No, I totally hear you. From mid-November to about the first week of January, it's always busy. We got, Trey's birthday, my sister's anniversaries, your birthday, Christmas, my brother's birthday, my wife's birthday, my dad's birthday. It's ridiculous. And speaking of which, I told you in person, well, virtually, happy belated birthday. Your birthday was yesterday. That's also my parents' anniversary. So shout out to my mom and dad. Happy birthday or happy anniversary to them. And I want to give a very special, warm thank you to San Antonio's drug court. My father, my pops, he was a mentor and an alumni. And they wanted to give us gifts, kind of like honoring him. So that was really nice of them do that. They put some money together. So we went there for a little Christmas shindig yesterday. And the kids are really excited. They got some gift cards. My youngest, he got a Wolverine Lego thing, so he's really excited to put it together. He's like,
"This big one, or just like the little tiny one?"
It's like 357 pieces, so it's a decent size. Yeah, it's probably like from elbow to wrist. You look, good. Y'all can't see my camera, but whatever your arm is, unless you're Kawhi Leonard, for the average person, it's about or Wemby for that matter. Those are basketball players, by the way. About elbow to wrist, somewhere in between there. It might be a little bit smaller than that. So maybe forearm to wrist or something. But
that's good.
As we roll into technology, I want to talk about some old technology. I want to talk about liquid energy for just a moment. So, one more shout out to my boy Emilio and his new wife, Miss Jenna. They hooked us up with a French press. And a French press is a different way of brewing coffee. You have, a lot of times it's a glass container. This one's stainless steel. It's made by Zojirushi. They gave us the container for at our little Friendsgiving. And it's great, man. So you pour, you grind up your coffee. Usually you do a little bit more coarse, right? So you grind up the coffee and then you pour it in the French press. You take hot water, you pour it in there, and then you seal it off and you let it sit. Usually 4 to 8 minutes. This one says 4. So 4 minutes, you wait. I'd usually do like 5 or 6 because I just typically forget. I don't time myself at exactly 4 minutes. Yeah. So you let it sit. Then when you're ready, you slowly push the thing down and it squeezes and holds the coffee grounds, right? And so your caffeine content and the flavor is a little different because the coffee is directly touching the water versus using a filter. And then when you pour it, the stuff doesn't come falling out, the bits and all that, because it's closed off, it's squeezed. So I had some of that this morning. It was great.
Is it hot? Like,
is
it hot water? Okay, I wasn't sure if you use hot water. If it's like cold water you're putting in there, it's like, no.
Okay. Hot water. So
yeah.
11 minutes into the show, and we have yet to talk about how the heck we're regulating these kids. So let's get rolling.
Not giving so much coffee. That's one.
Yeah, right. Actually, it's funny because I gave my youngest daughter a little bit of coffee that was left. She wanted to try it. I made it, I made it Starbucks style, right? Not so bitter and strong. I told her to try it as is, and she was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah, my kids don't like it. Like, they don't like my coffee because I drink it just not black, but like as coffee as I can get compared to my wife. She does like 20% coffee and 80% creamer and sugar. And all that stuff,
heck no. I throw a little MCT oil and some cocoa butter in there, and I'm good.
Dang.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's get into this regulation.
Yeah. So technology. Let's start with like our generation and maybe older. When you and I were little boys, we had the Nintendos and there was Atari, probably like remnants of the Atari still around, and maybe even a Commodore 64, Sega. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we had video games, Game Boys, the handhelds. You had TV, so those things were around. Although when you and I were young fellas, no, there's more than 6 channels. We're not that old.
I know.
But when you and I were kids, there might have been 1 to 2 TVs in the house, maybe 2. As we got older, it became more like you get a TV in your room, you get a TV in this spot, you get a TV in the garage, So that's kind of how it goes. Now, I got my first computer was a Commodore 64. My mom had it. I played Frogger on it. I remember that. I'm trying to think of some other games, but I grew up an only child. I have siblings, but I didn't grow up around my siblings. And I bring that up is because I know that there are different situations for each household, depending on the number of kids and the type of person that you're dealing with or child that you're dealing with. So in my house, I was allowed to watch TV, play video games, and the like. My parents didn't give me a set amount of time, but they would say, if I was up on the games too long, hey, man, go do something. Okay. But a lot of times, I wanted to be outside. That's kind of the difference, I think, between kids these days versus kids back then and then beyond or earlier. We would always want to be outside. Now, my kids are spending a lot more time outside because the weather is nice, but in the summertime, catch me outside. How about we don't do that?
Yeah. And that's the same up here, too. Yeah,
which is crazy because your weather's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, in the wintertime, it's probably
in the wintertime, it's like vice versa, So my kids, they love to go, they love to go outside in the summertime, but then in the wintertime, it's like, it's too dang cold outside. So it doesn't make sense to, especially up, negative temperatures.
But, I get that. I totally get that, man. So come about 94-ish. Yeah, we had Windows, I think 3.1. And then later on, we got Windows 95. And that's when it really started to turn into like technology. And even with that, the internet wasn't then what it is now. So I'd get on America Online, or before that, it was CompuServe. You remember that? Exactly. Mm-hmm. You got mail. File done.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. Yep. You'd get all that stuff. But I would get in the chat rooms and things like that. There was no social media. Now, look at kids today. They're born with it.
Yeah.
If your child is born or was born, shoot, would it be safe to say 2005 and beyond? Maybe 2000, definitely 2010.
Yeah, definitely 2010, and then maybe 2007 or 8. At least that's when they're starting to be, at least when it comes to technology being introduced, and we have cell phones, of course.
I'm with that. Yeah. So let's say 2005 to 7-ish, because right about 2007, I think, is the year the iPhone came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
around
that was
there,
the
yeah.
advent of the actual smartphone. Before that, you had the BlackBerry, you had Windows phones, you had the Sidekick by T-Mobile or whatever.
iPod, was that the gaming one for iPhone? Was that an iPod?
No, iPod was just straight up music.
The music? Okay.
Yeah, this the big one where you just spun the circle.
I
remember. Yeah, I had my aunt had an iPod. I was so jealous. I was like, "What is that?" She's like, "This is where all my music is."
Remember Zune?
I had a Zune too.
Yeah.
Yep, I had a Zune. I was like, "I'm not getting an iPod. I'm too cool for that." And I got a Zune, and then that died in like within 2 years. I was really depressed.
3.
I'm sorry. No, I take that back. It didn't die. They stopped supporting it.
They stopped supporting it.
They stopped supporting it within 2 years.
So they killed it. So in a sense, it died.
Yeah. So, kids now, they've got tablets, video games, computers, cell phones. What else am I forgetting? Social media, right? Then there's all these other different side or sub genres of tech that they have their access to. What we're going to do is try to help you navigate some of those waters. We're not going to be able to cover everything in depth. I would have to start an entire series on that. And if I'm being 1,000,000% honest, I don't have time for all that.
Yeah.
Every once in a while we could touch on it. Because I think this is a technology this is a topic that will allow us to do deep dives into specific sectors of tech. So if you would like to hear something more specific, dadmodepod@gmail.com, @dadmodepod on all the things in the metaverse, the Xverse, which just sounds really weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about that. Like, maybe I ain't gonna go.
Let's just say Twitter, man. Can't we just go back to Twitter and then they can be?
It's gotta be X.
Okay, all right. Man, that's so weird.
Elon likes Exhibit, man.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's start with something as simple as TV.
Yeah.
How young should I let my kids watch TV? I've read the studies, a lot of them. I honestly don't have one to point out to anybody at this moment in time, but if that's something that's desirable in the future, maybe we could just talk about this and something else. But I read a lot of them saying, hey, 3 years old is kind of where it's kind of okay. I think they say ages like 2 to 5 is where they say you should get like an hour or less of screen time per day. Now,
yeah,
I don't think that is realistic for the working parents. It's just, time gets away from you. You don't realize how quickly an hour goes by. It goes by quick when my eldest was a baby and I would be watching TV and watching, I used to work 3 days a week. I'd work 3 13.5-hour shifts and then have the other days off to go to school. And so I would have her in the morning and I would go to school in the afternoon or at night, right? And she'd be sitting in my arm and I'm watching Sons of Anarchy or anime or whatever, The Man of Steel. And it goes by quick, man. You're like, one episode, bam, next one, dang, next one. 4 hours later, where's the day gone? So I'm an adult with a better sense of self-control. Apply that to a child. And if both the child and the parent are distracted, and I say distracted, meaning like the child is interacting with the content whilst the parent is working or cleaning up or whatever, they work some sort of project, 30 minutes goes by, an hour goes by like nothing, let alone 2 to 3. You're like, oh my gosh, you've been in front of that the whole time. So now we personally tried and still try to regulate their screen time to where it's like a couple of hours a day, a few hours if it's on a weekend or if they're on vacation. Like today, my youngest, I said, is playing a video game. I'm recording this. I'm going to boot her off probably within the next hour, which is, I think, a total of like 2.5, 3 hours she's had today. And it's going to be a long stretch before she could touch TV again. We go touch grass, go outside and play.
So you're saying TV, or are you talking about TV and like phone or system?
This is just,
things like that?
This is just screen time, I guess. Well, I started with TV, and now I'm slowly moving into just general screen time. So now we go. We started with TV because when you think about it, most kids are going to have access to some sort of programming, right? That also shifts into tablets and computers, anything with a screen. And I believe there are some medical reasons why kids shouldn't be staring because of their eyes, right? You don't want them being too sedentary, right? And all that. But the thing is, it's hard. It's not, I don't think it's prescriptive to say, yes, it should be exactly this amount of time. So I think that's why they say, you know, I guess that's why I say you should really look at your child and their behavior. The problem with too much screen time, period, and this is with anything, is like any person, they get addicted or they get hooked, not really addicted, truly addicted, but they want more. They want, hey, I want to watch the next thing. I want to play the next thing. I want to watch the next thing. I want to play the next thing. And you're just like, hey, man, hey, girl, chill out, slow down. In terms of TV, Netflix, actually, let's go into the apps. Netflix, I know for sure you can set timers. I believe you can do it with Hulu and Disney Plus as well, where it's like you turn off autoplay. I have autoplay turned off. So my child, when they watch an episode, they have to go and click the next one.
Yeah.
That way it doesn't continuously feed them content. Oh, you're still here? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Because we've all seen it, right? You fall asleep.
Are you still watching?
Yes. Are you still watching? No. The TV's watching me.
He's like, you know what? I'm not watching it.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah, exactly. So, that's what I'll do is I'll turn on the option or turn off the option that allows autoplay. That way they've got to consciously do it. And then with my kids, because like my kids tried to be slick about it back in the day when I didn't have it turned off. Like, oh no, this is the same thing. And then I started getting smart. And this is a pro tip, parent. When you tell your kid, hey, this episode, and then you're done, or this movie, then you're done, do yourself a favor and go look at how much time is left. I'll grab the remote or I'll use my phone because my phone controls the Apple TV, and I'll click just so the bar shows up on the bottom. And I'm like, okay, 30 minutes. All right, it's 2:15. So 2:45, you should be about done. Barring, and give or take a few minutes or so if they got to go potty or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah, they're going to be watching that time.
Yeah, you've got a window to play with of time that you should know this program that they've been consuming or this content they've been consuming should be over, right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing you can do. Utilize that just as a baseline. You can also do things like set timers on your watch, or you can set timers on your smart assistant, whether it's an Amazon,
like Google or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. Amazon. And I'll say it like this, Alex A or Siri or Google, like you said. So try to utilize those devices to help you because we're parents and we get caught up in the mix. We do our own thing.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any questions so far, Big Rich?
No, I mean, and I think for me, it would be more of just electronics. Okay. So when it comes to electronics, because it's just like all parents, hopefully they agree with me on this, but children could be like lawyers. Like you can tell them you can't have TV. Cool. Well, an hour later, hey, I'm not on the TV. I'm on the PlayStation or I'm on the Switch or whatever phone. And so they will be, you got to put those caveats in there, unfortunately, or it's just going to bite you. And I hate that because, my daughter is like that. I mean, I guess both my kids. So where it's, you tell them that, hey, let's cut the screen time down, which is good verbiage because literally almost everything, at least I think, is on the screen from phone, from TV. Everything's a screen. So that, at least in my opinion, eliminates 90% of it, of electronics. But a lot of times, when it comes to trying to regulate those things, it's trying to maybe be with them too when they're doing it, just so you can have a little bonding time, and to where they're just not watching it all by themselves. And I know, like you mentioned about the medical aspect, I know when I was growing up, my mom and dad would tell me, don't sit too close to the TV.
Oh yeah, I still say that.
Now, I still say it too. And then of course now I'm, taking my daughter, she's like way up there, like at the TV. And I'm like, yo, just sit back. I mean, can you not see? And then of course, now she wears glasses and it's like, oh, I can see why. But it's one of those things where, when it comes to regulation, you mentioned it depends on the person, it depends on the parent. That's totally true.
And the child.
And the child, and I know I know some children, they may not even watch TV. or watch or screen time because they may not have any kind of enjoyment out of it. And hopefully when it comes to kids nowadays, they are able to regulate themselves to where they feel like, okay, well, man, do I have to be on this thing? Sometimes they won't, a lot of times they won't, just because it's fun to them.
Yeah.
And they love it, and hopefully they can get away from it, but it's not the easiest thing for parents to try and push them off of it, especially depending on your, where you're located and what you're doing. If you're working from home, or because when you're working from home, you got to keep them occupied just so that they won't bother you. But
well, and the kids, so children don't want to be left out socially. I've read plenty of, and one of the articles we've used as reference from nationaluniversity.edu says it in this portion that says the negative effects of tech on kids' social development. It says it can lead to lower self-esteem. Now, I think that's more in reference to social media, but then also just like behaviorally, the interaction between children is different that are all about tech. How many of your friends like to text you versus talk with you? You've got a friend that'll want to send you a text message all day, have a conversation all day. And that conversation could have been like 30 minutes if it's all day, or a 5-minute conversation could have saved you an hour of texting.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that, one of the benefits I think of regulation of their screen time or technology could help out is with just getting them to express themselves as a person in person versus just, I'm going to send you a message. They have to think for themselves. The attention span is one thing that I've heard argued, but on both sides of that argument, I've also heard that it teaches kids how to multitask, enhance learning and retention, and this is according to parade.com. I will get more into creating a more tech positive environment toward the end for children. So we'll kind of hold off on some of that topic or some of that talk. Smartphones. That's the big elephant in the room, right? Smartphones, because everybody is giving their children smartphones. What age should you give your child a smartphone? This is going to be yet another cop-out answer, but it's the truth. That depends on your situation. Child, your situation, your budget, whatever the case may be. Now, my oldest is 12, and I gave her a phone recently over the summer. I didn't want to, but somehow it ended up being cheaper to have 4 phones on my line versus 3. I don't know why, but that's Verizon for you.
Yeah.
So.
Was that the reason?
That's the reason why I got her a phone. It ended up being cheaper. I was like, I'm just going to get you a phone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, with all her sports and moving around, it's probably good for her to have one.
Okay.
So, but when she gets home, here's just a fast forwarding to something that we do. When she comes home, she's got to hand me the device. If
That's
she
good.
wants technology, I'll hand her tablet. Or I'll say, you can have something later. Hand me the device. And she on her own will go in our room with the doors open, knock if it's closed, and go put her phone on our area where we keep her phone.
I wish there was like I wish there was a way of, maybe there is a way, but it would be cool if they walk into the door and it'd be like some kind of EMP like that.
You can geofence it to where certain things happen. Yeah, people use that for like smart home automation. They walk into the house, and as soon as they connect to the Wi-Fi or whatever, they detect your phone, like a certain light will come on.
Now, will this like deactivate like any social media content to where they can't go on, or will they? Like how does that work out?
To be honest with you, I've never tweaked with any of the geofencing, so I'm pretty. But to answer your question, I'm certain that it's possible. I'm certain it exists. Yeah, you just gotta.
Yeah, and that's good. I didn't know that because I thought it was just something that you would have to just take the phone like you mentioned, just so that they won't get onto it.
Yeah.
But that'd be pretty cool just to be able to walk in the door and then they like can't go on their phone because, hey, you're inside my house. So guess what? You can't go on the Instagram, TikTok, or whatever you got on your phone. It's just like a dummy phone. It's just for you to make a phone call.
So that's a great segue into regulating those devices specifically, even when they're not at home. If you're an iOS person, they have screen time. I don't know what it's called on Android. I forgot. I think it's Google Family, but then you've got the...
Yeah, I think we use Google Family Link or something. Yeah, that's what it's called, Family Link now.
Microsoft's got the Microsoft, I think, safety... Oh, good Lord. I should have had that ready. Safety account or something like that. And then, of course, there's Apple Screen Time.
And it has to be with that family, right? Like, say, for instance, the Google family, if you have like a Google TV or a Google tablet or a Google Chromebook, it can regulate all those screen time parental controls, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah, they have to have a Google account and device. Well, Google device. If you're going to do it by device, you can also do it by Google account. So I have all the kids have iDevices, tablets, and then plus the other one's got the phone. They all have the HomePods. So at a certain time, I can make it to where those devices they're inactive. I make it to where certain apps are unavailable to them. So you can share your library of apps that you've downloaded, but you could say, not that one.
Yeah.
I've made it to where after a certain time or a certain number of hours with the screen time, they have to request more time. They either send me a request, and this is for Microsoft's Family Control app as well. So I get it for that. And Microsoft, I'm pretty sure Google does it, but Microsoft and Apple ecosystems will tell you how much time is spent within each app, website, etc.
Yep.
So like the kids can only use YouTube Kids as an example on their iDevices. They try to go to YouTube in the browser to circumvent that, they'll get blocked.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with my eldest because she's actually starting to need YouTube for certain things in school. And then even me, when I send her basketball videos or like science project videos, I forget. She's like, Dad, you blocked it. I was like, oh yeah.
And it's like a pain in the butt too.
It can be. It can be. You just got to go into their account and say, just delete it basically. Now you can do this in an ecosystem level, right? Or you can roll this up to a hardware level, such as your router or your switch in your house. So if you've got Google Wi-Fi or any mesh kind of router or smart router like TP-Link or something, you can go in there and you can set parental controls. So for example, in my house, after 9:00 at night, the internet shuts off on their devices Monday through Friday. All their devices are within a certain group and it shuts off. Now, they can operate the device. You can go and open your tablet, and anything that's on the tablet is on the tablet or the phone. But you're still going to be limited by what you do because now once Google takes over, right? Once the router takes over and shuts off their access to the internet, then it rolls over to the ecosystem. So you've got the router saying, okay, no internet access for you. And then the ecosystem being, whether it's Microsoft or Apple, it's going to now say, okay, cool. Well, you can't have these apps open without permission. So it really gets granular to where like they're locked down. And my kids don't really complain about it too much unless they have friends over. And then with that, I can make exceptions on the fly and say, okay, cool, I'll give you another 2 hours. Since you got your partners here. But they understand. They know the rules. And I think that's the thing that we have to do as parents is let them know it's not that we're trying to put you in prison. It's just that you need to be able to spend more time doing other things. You control the technology. Don't let the technology control you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's,
I agree.
Again, that's easier said than done because there are adults out there who trust their techno lust.
Yeah.
One piece of software I used to use back in the day when I was getting started, when I only had 2 kids at that point, and my youngest was pretty much a baby. But it was called a Canine Web Protection. It's made by the people who make Blue Coat. Well, it is Blue Coat as the company, but they also do proxies. Anyway, it's available for Windows, Mac OS, and Android. I don't think it's on iOS, but the software was great because you could put basically what's the application on that machine and it would treat it as an agent, right? It was basically an agent, and then it would filter all kinds of stuff. And you could like go and dial it in with your account and say, okay, I want to stop this, and that. And it was cool. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they were bought by Symantec and they ended support a few years ago for it. So I'm talking about it, but I don't think that it's available anymore. You guys can double check that. But there are other pieces of software that can control their computer experience, that control their phone experience. Again, doing it from a router level. Ask yourself, what makes sense for you? Do you want to just control it through your router? Are you that technical? And a lot of these routers these days, you don't have to be that technical, especially like using Google Wi-Fi as an example. I'll go and I log in and I help my parents-in-law with their network. I'll just jump in real quick 'cause I have the app and I'll go click, 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 click. I turn that camera on for you. It's just that simple. So it's just another thing that you click. There are some that are a bit more involved. If you're comfortable with the way Apple does things, then just do it through iOS. Just regulate it there. So you may not want to shut off the entire internet. You may just want to say you can't use these apps after a certain amount of time. Yeah. And that's also with Android. That's also with Microsoft. You go into their computers. I mean, Mac OS. Now, I won't speak as much to Linux because Linux is wide open and it doesn't quite have the market share, although Android is a variant of Linux. I think those who use Linux know what to do. Linux dudes are smart, man. They know exactly what they're doing. But there's like GoGuardian. You can use Dyn DNS, NetGenie, NetNanny. That's still a thing? Wow. I'm looking at a Wikipedia for like a list of content control software providers. These are just a few that I remember. Zscaler's another one. But you can use these to try to regulate your children's devices.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
That's good. Yeah, I like it. I like that. And also when it comes to parenting, you'll want to do some research. And
of course,
definitely do some research on your end and make sure that it's right for you, whichever way you go. I know we're like sort of like 50-50 when it comes to the Android, to the Apple and Google and all those things. But if you have the ecosystem of the Google, roll with that. If you have the iOS ecosystem, roll with that. If it makes it easier for you, roll with it. Because at least I think of it this way: all these tech companies want the same goal, and the goal is to keep children safe, keep everyone safe when it comes to at least making sure that the kids don't have a way of retrieving certain content and getting into certain
You totally
things.
went in a direction that I was not expecting.
Oh, really?
I thought you were going to say they all have one goal, and that's to keep you in their ecosystem. That's what I was thinking.
That's true. I mean, yeah, that's
they
true
want to keep
too,
you
but-
coming back for more.
Yeah, and that's true.
I'm all
I mean,
pessimistic.
Oh man, but I mean, yeah, it's true. I mean, they do want to for you to get in to buy their product, of course. But
Of course.
hopefully they are still wanting to have everybody be safe, all the children
Yeah.
be safe. Because I mean, they don't want children out there just looking up random stuff. So,
Oh yeah,
I mean,
there's definitely a duty to doing that, and they get hit hard by regulators if they don't. So
yep. And
that's also the other part of it.
And I know that's the one thing I know I read in one of these things. I think you had mentioned it about the lack of attention when it comes to technology. Like, do you get that from your kids? Like, they kind of tune you out when they're doing something technology. Like,
yes, absolutely. My eldest got her phone taken away this morning because my wife was trying to talk with her on the way to the camp about something. And they're doing a Secret Santa, and she was trying to get gift ideas for the person she's supposed to be Secret Santa for. And she was like, So my wife snatched the phone and tossed it in the back seat. She was like, cool, you can just leave that here. I do understand her frustration because she did that to me yesterday. And I looked at her as I was driving, and I said, the day before, Sunday. It was Sunday. And I said, do me a favor, put the phone down and listen. So then she had it in her hands like this. I said, no. I said, put it down. Put it right there in the cup holder. For those of you, that was me hitting the table to show the dramatic
I heard that.
flair there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she puts it on in the cup holder, and I was like, okay, softer next time. When I'm talking with you, pay attention, please. I'm trying to inform you about whatever we were talking about, which was semi-important. But the whole point is, whether it's actually important or not, it is
a respect thing.
It is important to give your attention and respect to the person who's conversing with you. And so that's what I was trying to get across to her. So games, we haven't touched on games, and I don't want to forget that. Video games, my rule is like no more than a couple hours at a time. Sometimes just an hour, especially for my 5-year-old. He'll just jump on there. He'll get going, and then he's like, ah. And so one thing that's really cool my wife has been doing is she's been giving him like 2 5-minute warnings. 10 minutes out. All right, it's going to get shut down. 10 minutes. 5 minutes out. Got 5 minutes or 2, whatever. But she gives him within a 10-minute window 2 warnings. So that way when we get to, all right, bro, it's time to pack it up, he doesn't freak out, pass out, have a tantrum, because he tried to do that BS when he was younger, try to fall out on the floor. And when he did that, I'd said, cool. So now you've lost it for the next day. Maybe the day after. And he's like, wait. I'm like, no, man. If this is how you're going to act when you don't get the technology, then you don't need to have it. It's that simple.
Sucking them there.
You know,
that's true.
And I think that's something that as parents that you can't use technology to regulate. You as a parent need to be firm in your delivery and consistent. And that's just with all things parenting. But you got to be firm and consistent and say, look, it's not to hurt you, but you can't sit here and do this all day. You know, we talked about some of the negative effects of technology already, and we'll go back and recap, and we'll do positive versus negative when I talk about doing like a tech positive environment, as I like to call it. With video games, Microsoft, Steam, Sony, they've got parental controls within their ecosystems. You're going to keep hearing me say that word over and over, is because that's the world that we live in technologically. You've got everything broken down into ecosystems that allow you to live in that world, whether it's the PlayStation world, the Xbox world, the iOS, the Android, the Windows, et cetera, and whatnot. Everything is an ecosystem. So get used to thinking about it that way. If you're comfortable in these ecosystems, think about what you use every day. Maybe you do it at a more granular level. Or think about your approach and what you're trying to accomplish. Heck, write it down. Write it down. What am I trying to do? How do I tackle that? Is there something that can do it all that will help me out? Or can I use one or two pieces of technology to cover everything? Do I got to use 5, 6? Now, if it becomes one of those things where it's like you gotta go through 12 remotes to turn the TV on and off, okay, that's a bit much. Nobody likes that house. You just say, I'm not watching TV because I got to do all these steps. So try to make it simple for you, but then also try to make it simple for the kid. And again, consistently, regulate their experience, but then also make it to where the child understands you're not trying to be rude and you're not trying to punish them by regulating it. It's really for their safety. And it's, again, you're seeing the long term of teaching them that willpower and that responsibility, etc. So let's recap
I like that.
Some of the negative things, right? So what are the negative effects of technology in general and spending too much time? Well, we've talked about low self-esteem. There are studies, lots of studies that show, especially amongst adolescent females, that social media is really bad. They have negative body images, they think negatively of their own appearance.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Like they look at somebody and like, oh, I wish I can look like her or look like him.
Right. And I mean, an increased lack of privacy. And this is, if you like to follow along and go look at this, this is according to WGU, Western Governors University.edu. We'll put the link in the show notes. Yeah. Lower attention span or risk of depression. I think that kind of goes in with the self-imaging thing. Obesity, because they don't want to do anything, right? They want to just sit and be on tech all day. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a restaurant or an event and I see a bunch of parents doing their thing, these skinny mom and dads with their larger child who's just sitting there at a table at the restaurant, eating with the tablet in one hand and the fork in the other.
Yeah.
As an aside, this is something, and I don't always do it, so I'm not going to sit here and make myself sound like a saint. However, 9 times out of 10, I don't bring my phone to the table. That's one thing I don't do, I try not to do, is bring my phone to the table, because then it introduces tech being okay at the table, and it shows that it creates a disconnectedness.
Disconnectedness. Yeah. No, I agree, dude. I like that. I love that you said that.
I don't really watch TV at the table unless like the Spurs are playing or the Heat or Cowboys, like if it's a sporting event. But when I do have the TV on, I put the TV on mute. So I can't hear everything. But if I want the option to look up while I'm eating, that's fine. However, if the kids are at the table, then it becomes one of those things like automatically it goes on mute unless it's one of those nights, like every once in a while we'll do it where it's just like a Friday night, no one's got school, or it's a Saturday night, we're having some pizza, we're having some wings, some burgers, whatever, and we're really lax, then sure, I'll leave the TV on, I'll leave the volume on. And that's why I say the 9 times out of 10. Try to keep that stuff away from the table, unless it's one of those things where you have to show them something. Oh, hey, check, you got to see this. Look at this. But like many things, it can probably wait. Just finish your meal.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, when you do that, it does introduce the technology, and you want to have more of like a closeness with your family, and and having the phone at the table or a TV near you is not being close to your family. I mean, I'm not trying to bash you or bash anybody about it, but that's something that I would love to try and do myself. But it's, if of course it's all depending on the situation, to where if you have a significant other that works super late, but then you want to get dinner, then it's not going to be a family sitting because you're missing someone. Or if your kids are somewhere else, I mean, okay. Of course, like when you are, say, for instance, eating, like you mentioned, watching the movie, you guys all agreed that this is what a family time is going to be at. We're going to be watching the movie while we're eating, or at the dinner table, however you have your house set up.
Right.
And I know for us, we unfortunately don't do it that much, just because the wife works a lot, especially nowadays because of what she's, when it comes to her job. But when we do get an opportunity, then that's something that we want to do. And we, I always tell the kids, okay, if all of us are here, okay, bump it, put your phone in your room, or put your phone somewhere to where you can't be at the table. Because we want to talk. We want to get to, I would hate to say get to know you, but get to see what's going on with you. Just get talk to you about, like last night we had talked about something, and we had wanted to talk to everybody about it, not just to one particular individual. We want to talk to the whole entire family about it. That's one way of getting closer, is just sitting at the table and just conversing. And that's one thing that's unfortunate about technology, is that it can be that's one of the negative impacts, is it can be a killer for family interaction. And I know I agree I agree with, like you mentioned that, that WGC website, WGU website, it does tell you a lot of different things that, especially when you go down the list, talk about falling grades. Oh my goodness. Like, I mean, it's not, of course, it's not a mind blown moment, but it's like something that we're going through. At least I am, with my child that is in middle school. That's like, he's going through some times, and it's like, okay, I can't say that if that's the reason why, those are the reasons why his grades are falling. You can't pinpoint that on technology, but maybe it has some kind of negative effect on him or on the children.
It just might. And it gives you a place to start, right? Where you can say, okay, let's try to dial this back. Let's tweak this. Let's tweak that.
Yeah.
Hey,
and
one thing you mentioned. Yeah, one thing you mentioned real quick about, I know your wife works late sometimes. One way to kind of think about it, in my opinion, not telling you how to parent, but just something I think that you might help renew your mind, so to speak, is, sure, you don't have all your family at the table, but you have your family at the table. This is the family that you have. So be with and eat with the family that you have available.
Yeah, some is better than none.
Right, exactly. Mom might not be there, or dad or your brother might not be there, and it might just be you and your daughter, or you and your son, or any combination of you all. But hey, this is the family that we have. Sometimes, especially working from home, I don't sit at the table a lot because I'm sitting down at a desk. I'll make my food, and I'll stand in the kitchen and I'll eat. But when my wife, if she's working from home the same day and she's sitting at the table, I'll stand and I make sure I face her, because sometimes I'll have my back to the dining room, because dining room is right next to the kitchen, but I'll turn around and I'll face her. So even though I'm not sitting with her, I'm talking with her, and we're doing the family thing while we both eat, and it's just us two at the house. So bullying. Well, this article mentions that, Big Rich and I have decided to parlay that over to a discussion later on about bullying in general. I think that is a big enough topic that warrants its own episode. So be on the lookout for that in the future. Social interaction issues, I think we touched on that earlier. We don't need to discuss that. That's one of those, to me, no-brainer things. More time on technology means less interaction with people.
Yeah.
Could mean. I'm not going to say it's always that, but it could mean that. Now, I want to talk about creating a tech positive environment, as I like to call it. I say that because technology is a blessing. It's helped us out in so many different ways, accomplish so many different things. I talked about opening the show, a freaking French press, stainless steel French press. Is it a phone? Is it electronic? No, it's not, but it's technology. So one thing that we do is we talk to our kids right away when they get these devices. We talk to them about what to do with them, what not to do. If people are looking for this information, don't give it to them, because our kids play Roblox and Minecraft, and they do online multiplayer stuff. Let's just focus on gaming for a moment. Somebody's asking you for your real name, pictures of you, your phone number, and the like. No, my daughter, who's at this sports camp right now for basketball, when I heard there was tech and they're going to be teaching them, it's like, cool. If they ask you to give out your email address or sign up for an account on anything, tell them, nah, you got to talk to my dad about that. If they want you to create an account and share a password, no. And just as a total PSA for the rest of you, I wouldn't use beef stew as a password because it's not stroganoff.
That is true. I can. Sounds good. Sounds really good.
Got our dad joke in. All right. There it is. Wait, hold on. I got you covered.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. All right.
That's the one. My bad. 5 minutes wasted.
Nah. So
I'm just joking.
tech positive environment. Let the kids know what it's. Talk to them. Hey, this is what the technology is used for. This is what the TV. We watch TV for entertainment. We use it to learn things, right? Mainly entertainment, but it can be used to learn. It can be used to share information.
Yeah.
Your tablet and your phone. Well, obviously the phone, because it is a phone, although it's a mini tablet with a phone app, right? These days. But your phone is used primarily, the function is to make calls. There's a number associated with it that allows you to make phone calls. You can also get your news, the weather, track your cycles if you're a woman. You know, you can, there's entertainment, there's a wealth. Tablet, same things apply. A computer, for the most part, your laptop and your desktop can do those things, although they're less mobile than shoving a phone in your pocket. Right?
Yeah.
So creating a tech positive environment, to me, is letting your children know exactly what technology is being used for, what are the ups and downs of said technology, and not creating an environment of fear when it comes to these technologies. Now, let them know the dangers, again, the dark web, child predators, as I like to put it. These things are available, and there are people out there who don't do nice things with children's data, with people's data in general. So you let them know that. But the tech positive would be like, hey, come on home. Is your homework done? Did you do your chores? Cool. Did you read a book? That's one thing I like to do, especially when they're on vacation. I make them read before they touch any technology.
That's a good idea.
So I told my daughter earlier, 30 minutes, I'm going to let, and I usually make her read two times for 30 minutes. I say, hey, okay, chapter book and a graphic novel. So she got my Batman versus Ninja Turtles graphic novel. She started reading that. I'm like, cool. I'm good with that. Get your eyes on some words and pictures. Right.
And I was going to say, yeah, don't go, the one thing I will say, like you mentioned that, not a Kindle or an iReader. Yeah. Get an actual book.
Yes. Physical book, paper. Yes. Yeah. That's actually a great comment. So I have them do that. They read before they touch the technology as another thing of tech, creating a tech positive environment. But then I'll say, go play a game, go watch movies, go watch TV shows. If all three of them are any combination are at home, I'll say, okay, you get a 30-minute show. Like if it's all three of them, 30 to 45-minute show, you get a show of the same time. So you're looking at anywhere from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours worth of content, right? Between all three of them or two or whatever, or one, right? If it's one kid by themselves, or if it's all three of them, I say, okay, you all get 30 to 40 minutes of shows, or you get to pick one movie together. Right? So I'll tell them that. Watch a movie and then take a break, go do your thing. Another tech positive thing. I was telling you the kids have the smart speakers. So they're able to do their listening to their music. They can ask, their assistant questions. They can hop on their iPads and they could call my parents on FaceTime. They like to do that. Even when they're grounded, that is the one caveat I give them. I'm like, you can always call your grandparents. But when you do that, you need to do it when they're in, like if they're grounded, you need to do it where we can see you. You just can't go in your room because you might tell me I'm calling grandma, but I'm really playing Roblox.
I ain't boo-booed fool.
Right. So you're going to sit there out in the open. And that's the other thing. Get them used to doing certain things in the open, not because you're trying to be nosy, right? But just say, hey, you can sit out here. You don't have to go and hide in your room. Also, on the other side of that, it's okay to let them go in their rooms.
Yeah.
And have some time on their devices, in my opinion. Or a designated area that's away. Give them that little bit of privacy because we're sharing the home with them.
Yeah.
Show them the cool things that you can do. Like I showed my younger daughter. Actually, I need to do it with my son when I turn the sprinklers on in the fall or in the spring. But I showed her I can control all the sprinklers with my phone. She was like, "Dude." My kids think it's the greatest thing when I leave the house and I forget something and I call them on the intercom through all the smart speakers and I'll say, "Hey, I've been trying to call. Somebody pick up the phone."
That's what we do.
Yeah. Then it rings throughout the house and they're like, "Oh, hey, we'll call you right back." My kids love being able to see their friends pull up to the doorbell while they're watching TV. And they're like, "Oh, so-and-so's here."
Yep.
Or if they happen to have a device with them that's compatible with the doorbell, they'll talk with them directly. "Hey, we'll be out in like 30 minutes. My dad's making me clean the bathrooms or something." I don't know. But again, because with technology, man, there are a ton of positives. You can use it to build your web presence, obviously, if you want to be an influencer or have a web presence, right? But it can enhance learning. So like using basketball or guitar or being a mechanic, you might learn something that you didn't know about fixing an issue in your home. You can use it to watch a bunch of guitar videos and learn a scale or chords that you didn't know. Basketball, you can watch it and go, "Oh man, I didn't know about this type of dribble. Let me see how it's done."
Too.
Yeah, it can be efficient. It can be educational. It can be entertainment, as mentioned multiple times. So kids can use technology for good. And a lot of times they do. That's what they're doing in school. They're using the technology for good. There's education apps that the children can use. You got to teach them responsibility. I'm going to harp on that over and over and over and over and over. There are tons of services available to you as a parent that you can use for them. Like, not Brain Pop, but there's like Class Dojo. There are.
Y'all use Class Dojo too?
Yeah. Or sorry, it's not. Well, Class Dojo, I think, just tracks like their progress, right? And tells you what they're doing, activities in school. But there's another one that my kids use. I can't think of the name, but fill in the blank. Any service that allows the children to continuously do work. I think it is Brain Pop. That's what I'm thinking of. That allows them to continuously do work even outside of school and over the summer. So we talked about this in our back to school episode activity that we had them do to beat the summer slump. We got them books, but we would also have them do apps and play games. I think, is it math? Not Mathnasium, math something. But there's like a math focused one. You've also got stuff like Khan Academy and what's the one? ABC Mouse.
Oh,
if you
ABC
have small
Mouse.
Kids. Yeah. And then there's another one that's like ABC Mouse that I can't think of. But there's so many positives to technology as well as the negatives. But there's a lot more, in my opinion, positive these days.
That's something that parents need to understand, that there are a lot more positives than they think, than there are negative. because a lot of people have this conversation that technology is bad for the world, and that's not always the case, at least in my opinion.
Hey, our world may feel as though it has gotten smaller, and some ways it has, right? In other ways, it's so large. We can reach out and touch somebody across the globe in real time quicker than we've ever been able to do before. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a frightening thing at the same time because it's like, dang, that really happened that quick. But it's a beautiful thing, man. We're able to interact with each other. And what you don't want to do is, at least in my opinion, you don't want to set your children so far back behind that they struggle in school because the schools are using technology.
Yep, I was exactly going to say that.
You know, and my daughter was smirking yesterday when I was talking with her because the guy from Accenture was talking to them about technology in class and all this other stuff. She was like, man, my dad already taught me this.
Yeah.
And I was proud of her, though, because, I mean, she retained more than I thought. So that's always a positive thing, man. That's great. You have any thoughts? I know I've kind of talked at length.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing, too, is to study your children.
Yes.
I only say that because when it comes to understanding what they're learning in school and what their learning curve is, maybe certain technologies would help them. So just understand your children, or at least study your children to see what they're doing and how they're learning and what you can do to better understand them. I think that's something that we all need to do as parents, just to figure that out.
Ask them questions.
Yeah, ask them questions, talk to them on the daily. Even if they don't talk to you, make them talk to you. You know, like, hey, you know, I care about you. I mean, what are you learning?
My wife does a good job of checking in with the kids' teachers through technology. I do a better job of doing it in person when I see them, because it's like you see them and it's like, hey, how are they doing?
Yeah, at least you can do that, man. My teachers be ducking and hiding, like, hey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't get to talk to all of them, but because I'm involved with their school from a sports perspective, like, I've built a relationship enough where I can just say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, let me holler at you real quick.
Yeah, so definitely, you know, I think this was a really, really wonderful episode, especially when it comes to regulation of technology, because there may not be parents out there that understand the technology that's going on now, but maybe they need some help with it. And I'm glad that, you know, I would say you, because you're more technological than I am because of, you know, what you do. So, you know, I'm glad this was just an episode that we got out and was able to push out. But yeah, that's all I got when it comes to technology.
Yeah,
don't
man.
live in the past, man. You gotta go forward.
Embrace it. You have
Embrace it. It's here. It is literally here.
And certain technology that has stood the test of time, that's still available, it's because it's tried and true. But around that existing technology that is, I mean, the toilet, how much can you innovate on the toilet? It does what it needs to do.
The bidet, man.
Man, I've seen some crazy bidets, for real. I'm like, that thing does everything but the kitchen sink.
I ain't gonna lie. That's what I was like. Oh, a bidet.
Maybe that wasn't a good example.
Yeah, they have even brushed up on their technology. When you can just sprinkle some water up, you do. Yeah, anyway.
Oh my god. We reinvented the wheel. Have you seen our version of the wheel?
Exactly.
All right. Well, hey, this episode went by so quick, man. Like, I feel like we're just barely scratching the surface. So once again, call to action for y'all. Let us know what you liked, didn't like. If there was anything you didn't like or anything that you did like, let us know how you felt. Let us know what you want to hear about. Like, this show, we do it for you. We do it for you. Yep. All the dads out there and the mommies. Hey, we're called Dad Mode, but this is a parental podcast. It's parenting from a dad's perspective because that's that's right. That's who we are. But we would love to hear from each and every one of you out there. We love y'all. Thank you for the support. Toodles.
Toodles.